So the High Line and Millennium Park are ideals. We have to remember these are in very, very large, dense, crowded cities. Most deindustrializing cities, and most of the cities I'm looking at, such as St. Louis or Baltimore or Flint, Michigan or Detroit, they have far fewer people and they're much lower density. They're just not crowded places. So they've actually got lots of open space. So sometimes a public official will say, I don't want another open space. That's not what I need. We have plenty of open space in the city. I can't maintain the open space that I have. So this is what's good for urban design. Otherwise, we'd just be landscape architects designing parks. We're looking at buildings and density and active uses that will contribute to the public life of the city as well as private economic activity. I think there's three principal avenues beyond simply declaring open spaces to be the solution. The first is that there are a lot of existing buildings in those cities which are underused or abandoned. Some of them are iconic and beautiful. These are buildings from the great age of industry. Classic examples are things like the Packard factory in Detroit. Detroit's railroad station, in fact, is also vacant, and this building was built at the same time as Grand Central Station in New York by the same architects, and it's sitting vacant. Those are parts of the city's heritage, and they're at risk of destruction. So I've looked a lot at factory reuse, how you reuse a factory when you don't necessarily have hundreds of startups clamoring to get in the door and a strong enough office market to rehabilitate the project. Second area is reactivating the downtown. Downtown of almost every city is a place where people come to get together. They come to watch sports games, they come to entertain themselves. Making sure that the downtown is vibrant is critical. Mayors often think that involves creating more parking. That's rarely the case. It's really creating a series of mixed uses, housing especially, that get people living downtown, generate enough activity for retail. For example, as you walk to one Main Street, you walk past a cafe, you walk past a bar. Those types of uses are what make a city alive, and having as many of those as possible is really important. But I think the most important thing, and the thing that I've focused the most on, is the entire rest of the city. Cities are about 70% residential. When you drive around places like Baltimore or Detroit, what you notice, what you see as the blight or the real problem are the miles and miles of abandoned homes, vacant lots. Figuring out what happens in those neighborhoods is a tremendous, tremendous challenge for mayors of big and small cities. It's as big a problem in Flint as it is in Baltimore or Detroit. You're looking at the problem of housing and how housing can be reimagined. We tend to think, again, in dense cities like Chicago or Boston or New York, that all of the housing in the city is a kind of landmark or heritage that should be preserved. We have, of course, Back Bay in Boston or the brownstones of New York. This is often not the case in these deindustrializing cities. The housing that they have, it was built quickly, it was built cheaply, it was built for industrial workers, so the houses are small. In fact, in Philadelphia, you can find houses that are 12 or 14 feet wide. A lot of these homes are vacant. Clearly, they can be demolished and reconstructed as a different style of dwelling. So this is very exciting for urban designers to say, what would a new urban neighborhood look like? We can reimagine the neighborhood form of the 21st century, building in all of those open spaces and work areas and areas of civic life together with new forms of housing that are much more varied. So the American household is also diversifying. We don't have, let's say, married couple with 2.5 children anymore. We have a lot of single folks. Those single folks could be young, they might be older. You can actually experiment a lot more there. And surprise, surprise, there actually is lots of public money to build housing. So this is what cities tend to forget. They forget that the federal government is providing money for housing, and they can experiment.